Hello there, and welcome back to the Moto vlog. This is episode number 2, and I'm also going to retouch on the Kenny Roczen to HEP Suzuki. I put out a video a couple weeks ago, kind of letting you guys know that that was the direction he was going to go. Was kind of still a little bit up in the air, but all the indications and everything we were hearing and people that I know in the industry and friends down in Florida that were saying that that was going to happen. It looked very likely that that was going to happen, and that's what happened. And so after that, I started seeing a lot of negative posts about the ability of the bike to deliver. And I'm going to address that a little bit here as quickly as I can. I'm not going to go real long in depth, but any 450 has enough power. It's just a fact. They detune them all the time. From the factory level, a lot of times, these guys get so far towards more peak horsepower and more broad range of horsepower that they actually have to detune them so that the rear wheel isn't spinning and just churning up and not connecting the whole chassis and suspension to the ground and making forward momentum. So they detune them. A lot of times they do that electronically through the ECUs, the mapping. But anyways, so for all of you people out there who think, okay, that's, 5, 6, 7-year-old technology that's on that Suzuki. While that is true, the bikes have had enough power that long so that it's not a negative as far as him having enough horsepower. He will have enough horsepower. As a matter of fact, Ken rides very low in the power range. He's very much a torque user instead of a high range, and that bike puts out that kind of power. Suzuki's typically put that low mid-range power. So that particular bike's going to be fine on the horsepower for him. I keep seeing this kickstart thing being a negative, and let me tell you guys, the only time that will become an issue is if he were to get crashed into, or gets crashed into himself, and he has a scenario where he has to pick up the bike and kick it over. A lot of times it'll kick first time. They will be working on that. Jamie at Twisted builds their motors currently, as far as what I know to be the fact. That may change because Factory Suzuki is going to get involved in his efforts. But anyways, so Jamie at Twisted is going to have that bike to where it will start first kick, no problem. And when you think about how often these guys have to do that in the first place, the pros don't fall a whole hell of a lot, and they definitely don't. They're not typically stalling their bike for no reason. I've seen a couple people in the comments bring it up, and I went back and watched the last couple of years, fast forward, watched a couple of years Supercrosses to see this, to see if, and there was only a couple scenarios where people just stall the bike and have to restart it. And yes, e-start will go a little bit quicker, but if your bike will start first kick, and I get when you do a tip over that manipulates the fuel and stuff, and you can get into the heat of the engine and all that, making it a little bit harder to kick over. But in general, that bike will kick first. They'll have it to where it will kick first kick. And the scenario that I see Kenny, the way that he rides, how smooth he rides, I don't see that happen unless he were to get cleaned out in a wreck or something. And he doesn't fall very often. So chassis-wise, I know they've been working on the engine hangers. Different thicknesses help with the stiffness of how that motor is mounted into the aluminum frame. But they'll get it sorted out, and I think they already have a good setup. And as far as starting the season, I see guys like Walty Wanders and Scott, I believe his real name is, Cooksey, thinking that he's not got enough time on the bike come A1. I'm going to disagree with that sentiment. He's had the bike longer than most people believe that he's had the bike. He's played a game with us as far as putting out in the media, testing all the other bikes. He's had the bike for a while, and I feel like he was leaning between that bike. Not I feel it was out there that he was leaning between that bike and the Firepower. After winning the World Supercross, the last round, and taking their little 2-race dealy crown, he did feel good with the Honda, but he also wants to show factory Honda that he can beat them. He didn't feel comfortable with how things went down. I'm not saying he necessarily blames them, but he made that deal with World Supercross early on, and they knew it, and then they pulled the rug out from him later on. So while he did have a contract offer, it wouldn't allow him to participate in that after he already made promises and obligations to be in those rounds. So, okay, anyways, back to the bike. Sorry. The other thing I've seen is suspension. People are like, well, he will have factory level suspension. They've already hired a suspension guru to run it anyways. I think his name is Dave. I'm sorry, I don't have his name written down here, but he's worked for other factory teams and set up these bikes. But he's also going to have factory involvement too. And from what I understand, they are going back and forth between the Showas and the Kayabas. So he's going to try everything, and he'll have it perfect for how he likes the bike. So going into the new season in 2023, what can we really say? Like, can I sit here and say to you, he's going to win the championship? I would say no to that just in general. Didn't matter what bike he was on. I love Ken. He's one of my favorites, but I don't feel like he's a championship level rider for a whole season anymore. Only because he's proven not to be able to make it through a whole season with his injuries. I think it's kind of mysterious. I don't think he even knows what happens to him. I mean, he knows the symptoms as far as like fatigue or whatever it might be. I'm just speculating on this part, but the fact of the matter is he hasn't been able to make it all the way through a season. And in the field we have for 2023 coming up, you're going to have to be there. These guys are animals, and Ken trains like an animal. He's great, and he's good. And we've already seen that he has the ability to get out front. We saw him win a race last year. He's constant. I think almost every year he's won races. So that's what I feel this will happen this year. He'll be more relaxed on a team that doesn't have. It's not going to put a bunch of stress on him, and he wins races. And as far as if I had to throw out a championship, I'll say if he's able to go all the rounds, and he will settle on the days he's not doing so well, if he'll settle for like top tens, I see him 5th maybe in the championship if he'll go the whole year. That's the level of rider he is. Wins, I see 1 or 2 wins and quite a few podiums. I think he can podium consistently with that Suzuki. I feel it's a comfort thing that he's going for. He's going back to a familiar feel. The bike hasn't changed that much since the last time that he rode it. And he's going to just go for feel, and he'll have no binding, no restrictions for trying anything. So how is it a lose? And if he doesn't do, let's say he just doesn't even get a win, but he's in top 5 most of the year, 4 or 5, and he gets some good starts because he always gets good starts. How's it a lose? He's putting Suzuki back on the map. So for all the negative guys, man, just enjoy what we're living through right now. I'm an old guy. I remember, the 80s when wins were every other week someone else was winning. And I feel like last year was the start of that, and I believe this year is going to be another year where we have just an amazing field. Just rattling off the top of my head. I mean, you got Tomac, you've got Anderson, you got Roczen, you got Malcolm Stewart, you got Christian Craig coming in. Barsha he can pull out a win here and there. Gosh, Dean Wilson in the bottom half of the top 10 on a new ride. I think he'll be motivated with that new ride. Cian Cirillo is a question mark. I actually may even make another video about that. But he'll be good in the first couple laps for sure, just like last year. And we'll see how he can make it through the season. But yeah, that's just some of the people that I can think of. I'm sure I'm missing a ton. I'm gonna make a list of all the riders that are fielded by a team. Sexton, geez, I've left Sexton out. Sexton is incredible, and I think he'll be a good rival for Tomac this year. I think we'll continue to see what we saw last year and and how it was in Supercross and the outdoors. I think the two of them are really going to go at it, and maybe throw Anderson in there with it. So, and my man Mookie. So yeah, it's going to be a really very interesting year. I hope we don't get beset with a bunch of injuries. And yeah, so getting back to the original topic here, I think you're touched in the head if you guys don't think much of the Suzuki or of much of Ken Roczen on that new Suzuki. They will definitely be, a pair, the bike and Ken, to be reckoned with coming into this new season. So that's it for Moto vlog number 2. I'm going to be working on some more of these. I want to get them out as much as possible, and hope you'll stay here and keep watching them. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. It helps me out here. I'm getting very close to 1,000. I think I'm 980 something right now. And I appreciate all of you out there who watch these and comment. Please comment. I mean, I almost answer back everybody that I can. I'm in that high 90s of answering people back. So I love to communicate with you guys. And so drop me a line down in the comments. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.